Now I'm going to move across to the acquisition and development of that skill. So if I just go back and summarize the capabilities, we've acquired understanding, we've sustained the knowledge, the understanding gave us the knowledge, we then worked out how we're going to retain that knowledge and become better at it by integrating things. And now we're moving towards the skill development part of it. We're not just acting it out anymore. Yes, we can do it. We remember many movements. And now we need to get serious and try to develop real skill in what it is that we've learned and remember and have all the knowledge about. And so many people may start with no skill base and perhaps very questionable capability in the ability to acquire and develop their skill. They may have very little prior physical skill or capability. They may potentially have reduced physical learning, coordination, and judgment skills. You don't really know if you're teaching students and they come along, you're going to need to determine their own skill capability. I might just add, I've taught some people with special needs over the years, or autistic children, people with learning disabilities. Some of them had extremely good understanding. They were able to remember and sustain knowledge and acquire the knowledge, but their ability to skillfully develop in the martial art in some cases was, let's say, more challenging than for people without any particular challenges behind them. So you don't know, everybody's different, as I keep mentioning. The other thing is the people are likely not to have strong bones, joints and muscles. So you need to be very careful in the beginning that you don't overdo it. And I'm very wary with children in this particular aspect. You need to take great care in what it is you're doing and what sort of stresses you're putting on the body and the joints and the muscles. It's perhaps like any major exercise or sport. If you look at weightlifting, for example, you need to gradually build up to weights. Yes, it's very easy to say my muscles can't lift a certain weight, but the most important things is your joints and your bones. If you're not able to have strong joints by making sure the tendons and all the ligaments and and so on around those joints and the muscles, it's not just the major muscles that you're using. We have lots of very small muscles throughout our body. You need to get things in the right degree of capability before you can move on. So this becomes a very important part, particularly for the teacher, the sifu, to understand when teaching somebody. The next one is, in order to acquire and develop skill, you must be able to recognize it in others. And I guess that's fairly obvious. You must be able to appreciate what having skill actually is and being able to see it in others. And working with your sifu or teacher, learning how to develop these basic skills that will lead to self-improvement becomes an important part of acquiring that skill. So it will happen if you continue and you have the right attitude and go about it in the right way. And we talked about before mastery of self and mastery of training. And this time I'm going to talk about mastery of learning. So determining how mastery of learning is achieved. You need to understand that mastery of learning, determining how to learn, is an important factor because everyone is unique. And to become aware of what works for yourself and how to make adjustments that lead to success. Now, earlier we talked about in the acquiring understanding, we talked a little bit about learning, but now we're very much involved. In order to develop this skill further, we need to become aware of what works for us and how we're going to master learning for ourselves. And that includes knowing exactly what you need to learn. And again, everyone is different. You may need to learn certain things about your body that someone else doesn't, or you might need to change attitudes or develop more confidence or whatever. And it's all part of helping you to develop the skill. And once you've done this, you need to devise and implement your own learning methodology. So mastery of learning requires some sort of methodology for the student at the personal level, that both the student and the Sifu understand about that particular student. Next is the awareness of skill level increase from greater effort, determination, and focus. And I call this the breakthrough awareness and reflection. And this is experiencing increase in your own skill level, particularly due to your own improved focus, your greater effort, and your greater determination. So you will one day realize that, wow, the skill level is increasing. Particularly if you've done all of the other things we've talked about. And then you'll begin to realize that you may need to retroactively apply. So go back and apply everything to what you've learned before in Hung Gar. So you may need to retroactively apply these new realizations to the techniques you believe you have already learned, because you've now developed a different degree of skill that wasn't there before. So the things that you learned and had accomplished before, you need to add this skill level to them. So that becomes another exercise that you need to understand. And you need to be aware that the journey remaining is longer than expected if acquisition of greater all-round skill is to continue. So you can't be misled that when you begin to get this first milestone, or the milestone related to skill, is you think, okay, I'm there, I've done it. Well, there's still a long way to go to acquire that greater all-round skill that you need to be able to continue. And the final thing in the final maturity level in acquisition and development skill is progressing of skill level from the conscious level to the unconscious level. Now this, I perhaps need to explain a little bit here about what I mean by the conscious and the unconscious level. So what's the difference between conscious and unconscious? The conscious mind is basically sequential and logical. So we do things in a conscious way, while the unconscious mind is spontaneous and processes information instantly. So it's not like working through a set of things as you would do in your conscious mind, do A, then B, then C. In the unconscious mind, everything's happening spontaneously. And that's an important realization, particularly in the area of martial arts. If you think of a fighting situation, you can't be thinking, oh, if he does that, then I will do this. You need to react. Things need to become, to be able to be done at the unconscious level, spontaneously. The unconscious mind is very capable of multitasking, while the conscious mind does not really have this ability to multitask. And the unconscious mind can make associations and links between many different thoughts and ideas, while the conscious mind is more linear and it thinks in terms of cause and effect. Also, the unconscious mind, it knows why, while the conscious mind seeks to understand the why. The conscious mind does things because they need to be done in that important, it could be life-threatening moment. The conscious mind will seek to understand why something needs to be done rather than do it. And the unconscious mind will perceive and feel. It's more of a feeling and perception, while the conscious mind will want to intellectualize things. And again, in terms of martial arts, you really need to be able to perceive and feel and intuitively do certain things. While the conscious mind works well in the waking state, the unconscious mind is more associated with dreams, reflection, meditation, sleep. Many things are multitasking during these particular unconscious mind processes. And so you may relate to that. The conscious mind needs to make effort to move parts of your body, while the unconscious mind does everything automatically and perhaps involuntarily. So this is why this progression of skill from conscious level to unconscious level, I see it as a very important thing to develop in ourselves. I can just talk a little bit more about this. Most of the learning of movement is done by the unconscious mind, as the conscious mind is not capable of keeping track of balancing, maintaining hand-eye coordination, and looking at obstacles all at the same time. So because you're involved in learning a physical activity, it's the unconscious mind that's going to be able to help you in what I just mentioned about balance, hand-eye coordination, and observing obstacles and getting out of their way, and so on. If we look at as many people like to talk about when they talk about learning things, physical things, is riding a bicycle. Once we're able to do that, basically that ability is then picked up by the unconscious mind. And you can see it that in many people who may not have ridden a bicycle for decades, they can perhaps easily do it much later without having done any practice. And this was made possible because their unconscious mind stored all the knowledge. So the physiological responses of different parts of the body are too complicated for our conscious mind to keep track of. And it's our unconscious mind that regulates all of this. And as it regulates the nervous system, our urinary system, our breathing system, reproductive, circulatory system, all of this is happening at the unconscious mind level. So I don't want to get too much off track, but I just want you to understand that this becomes a very important part, another milestone of learning Hung Gar and perhaps many other sports. So you begin to embrace the unconscious mind. You begin to realize that skill requires mastery of many different layers of complexity, which only the unconscious mind can bring together. And the awareness that our conscious mind has enabled us to learn each of our new skills. But having learned each of those skills, we will experience that our unconscious mind is the enabler of our overall performance by automatically engaging our many skill layers without our conscious effort or even awareness. And I often think of it, for example, I may be demonstrating or playing something. And for me, it happens with most things that I play because I guess I've developed this over my whole lifetime of 60 odd years of training. It's almost like I'm watching myself perform. I'm not thinking of what's next or what I have to do. I'm imagining there's people around me. Maybe they're trying to attack me, and everything is happening at the unconscious level. And it's very much like I'm observing myself when I do these things, not needing to think, how am I going to do that?